Another week has passed, and it turns out a fresh Battlefield Labs playtest took place last Friday. And wow, gameplay clips started flooding the internet. Many of them were raw and completely uncensored. It seems the player count for BF Labs has grown significantly, and a lot of testers aren't too concerned about confidentiality. They're uploading footage freely. I came across a 22-minute gameplay video recently, and it was quite polished. 1440p resolution at 60 FPS. Judging by the controller interface shown, it was captured on a PS5. The player didn't bother concealing their identity either. The footage showcased a brand new map, which made the whole thing even more intriguing. Let's dive into the details. The map in question is named Capstone and appears to be set in the AI district of Tajikistan. According to the loading screen, the scenery is stunning. Rugged mountains, breathtaking views. Easily one of the best looking maps I've seen, reminiscent of Battlefield 1. The graphical fidelity suggests they might be using advanced photogrammetry techniques beyond what we saw in BFV or 2042. It feels truly cinematic. This is a traditional conquest-style map with 6 objectives. While not the largest we've seen, it includes jets, helicopters, and destructible structures, many of which were actively collapsing during combat. Terrain variety is solid, with areas of vertical engagement. Some fights happen uphill, others downhill. There's a flat zone on the right side and dense cover near flags using sandbags and HESCO barriers. One interesting change is in how capture zones are marked. Previously, colored glows red, blue, white were used to highlight capture areas, somewhat like Delta Force. That's gone now. Instead, the developers have gone with painted markings on the ground, a much cleaner, more grounded visual cue that blends nicely with the environment. Tajikistan, being a landlocked Central Asian country near Afghanistan, makes a plausible conflict zone in a fictional global war scenario. The vibe of this map and the clips strongly evoke classic Battlefield. A standout moment from the footage featured a helicopter being hit mid-air, but instead of a quick explosion like in past titles, BF3, BF4, 2042, it spirals down in flames before crashing and becoming wreckage, just like the kind of detail we hoped for in BFE, but never got. The whole thing looked and sounded amazing. Speaking of sound, DICE's audio team seems to be at the top of their game. The ambience includes everything from the distant rumble of gunfire to the sharp hiss of smoke, bullets zipping past, and the roar of aircraft overhead. It all feels incredibly immersive. Another leaked clip showed the use of a tow or stationary wire-guided missile launcher. Unlike previous games, you can actually see the guiding wire trailing the missile, a very cool detail. According to sources like Wikipedia, these systems usually have a range of up to 8 kilometers, about 5 miles, and seeing that visual wire adds realism to the weapon's behavior. There's also about 2 minutes of jet combat footage. Visually and sonically, it's top-notch, complete with vapor trails and atmospheric effects on the wings. The dogfight, however, looked a bit sluggish. Controls seemed unresponsive or laggy. A comment from someone on Discord touched on issues with jet handling, which we'll explore later. When players die now, a new death report UI shows where damage was dealt and how much. Additionally, leaked patch notes suggest the combat dive mechanic has been nerfed, both in terms of height and duration. Movement overall appeared slower in this batch of videos compared to earlier ones, possibly indicating some fine-tuning in response to feedback. We also got our first look at the new gun customization system and a returning test range. The customization now uses a point-based system. Each attachment carries a weight, and you have a set number of points to spend, like 100 total. So, players have to make trade-offs when building their loadouts. The system reminded me a bit of Insurgency, Sandstorm. If you ever played that game, you might notice some similarities with Call of Duty's older customization systems. They had something called the Pick 10 setup, though that one wasn't limited to weapons. It also included perks, if I'm remembering right. Anyway, back to Battlefield, the new weapon customization setup is pretty detailed. I mentioned it briefly in another leak breakdown, but now we're seeing real in-game stats for each attachment, which is great. In the past, you'd need to visit external databases like Symantec to get that level of detail, but it looks like all of that is being built directly into the game now. There are also multiple ammo types to choose from 5 or 6 that I could count, and each seems to offer different tactical advantages. On top of that, data miners have found references to some familiar map names buried in the game files. One of them is Propaganda, an awesome map from BF4 and one of my personal favorites. Fun fact, that one was actually based on a map from BF 2142. If it's making a return in the new game, that's a big win. Another classic spotted was Firestorm, not the Battle Royale mode from BFE, but the original Firestorm map from BF3. That one was also brought back in BF4. So it clearly has staying power. Over on Reddit, a user named the Rube shared that people in the Leaks Discord are saying the new map has a very similar feel to Monte Grappa from BF1. That was one of the launch maps, set along a mountainside, more linear than open, and feature a pretty solid lineup of vehicles like quads, tanks, LAVs, attack choppers, jets, and even mobile AA. Every building could be blown to pieces, as is typical with more rural maps in the series. From what's been shared so far, the movement in the latest test build looks a bit more grounded and slower paced than earlier clips. Jumping and shooting feels less floaty, maybe a result of nerfs or animation tuning. Gun customization feels tight and satisfying, and the sound design, especially for air vehicles, is next level. Helis and jets have this deep, rumbling roar that's just intense. Jet control, though, still a bit rough. Feels a little like Battlefield 2042, which might not be great news depending on your preferences. That about it for the standout stuff from the latest BF Labs playtest leaks. A lot of footage is being taken down from YouTube, but if you know where to look or check Reddit or other social platforms, you'll still find it floating around. It's honestly gotten so widespread, I doubt they'll be able to scrub all of it. Before I wrap up, I'm curious about something, especially if you're the kind of person who sticks around to the end of these breakdowns. Thanks, by the way. Do your more casual Battlefield playing friends even know this stuff is going on? Maybe they dabbled in 2042 or played a lot of BF3 and BF4 back in the day, but haven't followed the series since. Are they hearing about these leaks? Is any of this reaching them? Because what's happening right now with this game, the amount of leaks, data mines, and early gameplay, it's unprecedented for Battlefield. They've never had this kind of exposure this early, and I wonder how far it's actually spreading. Let me know in the comments if your friends who casually follow BF have heard any of this, or if it's still mostly under the radar for them. I'm genuinely interested. Alright, that's all from me. Thanks for hanging out. Hope you had a great weekend. More fun videos coming soon, so keep an eye out. Or, stay indoors and watch them. Who am I kidding? I'll be indoors either way. Drop a like if you enjoyed the video. Subscribe if you're new, and I'll catch you in the next one. Take care.